Now, let's do some actual trends and patterns. That's what we're here for, right? I will get marks for adapting the menu. I have written a subroutine, which is good. That's better for security, so some marks there. What do I need? Let's really roll our sleeves up and get into this. So we'll need a complete data frame for all the functions here. Okay. What packages have I got? I've got Pandas installed. Right. How do I get a complete data frame? So data frame pd.read_CSV open brackets. We've got a couple of arguments that we need. So my data is literally this line here is what I need already provided for you. This records, so it says it gets the conversion rate function, uses Pandas to get the latest conversion rate, imports the CSV file into a data frame. That is exactly what I need. There you go. Import it as a data frame. Now, for you specifically, I will output this. Always good to output your data frame to see and make sure that you can read in the data. So 7 goes in, and I'll select option 1 this time. So you can see here, line 88 and line 89 have been run. And you can see I've got the index has been provided on the left-hand side. The dates have been provided. Then I've got GBP euros, euros GBP, Japanese yen GBP, GBP US dollars, US dollars GBP. So I've read it in properly. I've got 86 rows. It's too much information. It's not what I need. I'm going to comment this out. That was just for testing. So if you choose trend choice 1, right? Trend choice 1, that is the trend over time for the value of pounds to dollars. So what I'll do is I'll say trend over time for GBP to US dollars. Okay. Then the next thing I will do is I will think about what the question asked for. Okay, now the question asked just for GBP to US dollars and US dollars to GBP. All right, now because it asked for those, GBP to US dollars, I will now extract that into its own data frame. And this is what I tell my students, you need to break the main data frame down, but don't edit it, break it down. So this now is a new data frame. There's my original one called DF. This is my new data frame that just has the GBP to US dollars in there. So it'll have the dates and it will have GBP to US dollars. So this column here. And look what it's called. GBP US dollars. There's a space in between the hyphens and date as a capital D on there. So let's extract it then. Data frame. Square brackets. I need square brackets, speech marks, date, comma. What did they call it? They called it GBP US dollars with a hyphen, I think. GBP space US dollars. Okay. So I'll take that out. Let's see what we get, people. Let's see what we get. Now this is just extracting series. This is extracting just what we need. GBP to US dollars, US dollars, data frame. Let's see if that's right. Let's see if it produces what we need. Fingers crossed. Moment of truth. Oh, look at that. So we've got dates. We've got GBP US dollars. We've got 86 rows. We've basically split the whole spreadsheet down and got rid of everything apart from the column or series we need date and GBP US dollars. Now, the issue we've got is this index in here has to go. The dates as they stand might cause us a problem when we plot them on a graph. They are strings currently. They need to be turned into date time variables. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. I think when we read the data frame in, let's set the index. So where is your index column? That is going to be column 0. That's the date column. So we're going to set the index to be the date column. Then we're going to parse any dates that it finds inside the data frame. And it's going to turn them, set that to true. Okay, let's just have a look again at what that looks like before we get into anything. Comment this out for a second. Comment this out for a second. So let's just print the original data frame out and see what the difference is this time. I've not got anything in there. It doesn't like it if it's not got anything in there. So let's just put some random stuff. There you go. Try again. Okay. 7. Choice 1. And then it says read CSV got an unexpected parse date. I have missed an S off date with dates. I think that's the problem. Let's try again. We do love problems, don't we, people? 7. And 1. Okay, interesting. So see now, you don't get the index anymore, and the dates all look weird. So the dates have been formatted in a date timestamp. Okay, but that's what we need to plot the graph. But the zeros, the index has gone. Now you might see this error up here. Okay, now that is just warning you that if you use dates like this, you could have the same date twice and it not know. But the data that's been provided is all correct. It works in ascending order from the newest or oldest dates first, etc. So don't worry about that warning. I don't think we need to worry about it. It's just a one. Let me read it. Yeah, it's just saying that you've not set or given a format to your dates, which is absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Now, let's get rid of those. Get rid of those. Now, if you do set the date as your index, then this will cause a problem because it's not called date anymore and the system doesn't read it as date. So these are the column headings or the series headings. It doesn't know what date is anymore. So if you run this now, let's see, hopefully, we'll probably get an error now. 7, 1, there you go. So it doesn't know what date is. So to get rid of that, you don't need to specify this anymore. We don't need our double brackets. Let's test this again. 7 and 1. There you go. So you can see now we've just extracted the date and we've extracted the column that is our GBP to US dollars. And that is it. Okay. Now that data there is good to go. Let's put it and let's find the trends over time. Now we want to make sure our solution is secure. We want to make sure that we are producing good use of data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the subroutine. I'm going to make a subroutine for this. Just handle the display element. Data frame. All right, I'm going to call it trend underscore GBP to. You can think of better naming conventions than me. I'm using snake case as well for this. I'll pass the data frame in as a parameter. So I need to make this thing now. Let's make it right. Now, if we make this subroutine, it has to be above wherever we're going to call it. So I need to put my subroutine above all of this stuff that's going on here. So let's put it above menu choice. Okay, there it is. Now, subroutines start with def. They have brackets and a semicolon. And what do we want to do? Right? What do we want to do? We've got the data frame, we've got the specific data. And at the moment, let's just display the data. Make sure that this is working. So I'm going to take this here, print it. Now this is just to check that the data is being passed as an argument into my subroutine. I've got no print statements inside option 1, no print statements at all. The only print statement I've got is when you call the subroutine, have you passed the data successfully as an argument, and it will print it out and see what we get. So let's have a look, people. Fingers crossed again. If it prints out the data, we are good to go. And there we are. There we have it, people. It's printed out the data that we need. And we are good to get this plotted. So we're going to use a graph here. And this is what scares people. But if you stick with me, there's no reason to be scared. Plot the data in the data frame. Okay, now, in order for us to plot data, we need another package up here. Import matplotlib, yeah. And pyplot is what we're going to need, and we'll give it a reference of plot. That seems to be standard everywhere we go. Back down to our code. Where were we? Got to stay organized here. Right, here we are. Plot the data. So I'll say GBP to US dollars data frame dot plot. Right. In it goes. And then I'll say PLT dot show bracket bracket. If you don't say PLT dot show, it won't actually show the data. So this is just loading or pushing the data. This then shows the graph. All right. Let's have a look at what we've got. Excellent. So 7, 1 produces the data, and there we are. There we are. Make it full screen. Wow. We've got dates. Now you might think those look weird. I've got no titles on here. I've got no Y labels. I've got an X label. No Y. I can zoom in on these as well, I think. Like this. And you can see the dates change now. As you zoom in, you can see more. There we go. There we go. There we go. Specifics. Okay. Let's reset that. There we go. All right. Just, we need to zhuzh it up a bit. So let's add some info. PLT title. We need to give it a title, and let's say all trends for. Oh no. Let's say trend over time for, this is GBP to US dollars. So that's the title. We'll give it its X label is already on there, but I'll show you how to put them on anyway. X label, that'll be the date. Then we've got our Y label. Y label, that's going to say currency value on there. And that's it. Show the graph. And I think that is all we need to do. Let's check this again. And then I think we'll call this video the end. 7, 1. And there you go. Title. Very nice. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Wonderful. Okay. So what I'll do is I will stop there. And all we've done is we have now amended the code to allow us to add an extra menu option. Done. Then I have expanded it to allow for trends with our submenu, and we've selected the first trend. We read the data in, we allow the person to choose a choice, and we've done the first choice, which is GBP to US dollars, and we've brought that in, made a separate data frame, sent it off into a subroutine, passed the data as a parameter, and then plotted the data to a graph using matplotlib. And that's it. That's all we've done. So I'm sure you now could have a go at the second trend, which is basically plotting all the values over time for US dollars to GBP. And we'll do that in our next video. So I'll see you over there for the next installment.